One of the best things about bringing you the 50 summer stories of Pittsburgh tech with Comcast is talking to a bunch of companies that are developing just awesome solutions to help us manage through this COVID-19 pandemic. Solutions to help us get back to work, for crying out loud, and get back to work and know that we're going to be safe. That's what we're all concerned about, is our safety, of course, and safety is number one. And seeing these solutions come out, I think it's just great, and I love putting a spotlight on them. And that is the case what we're doing today with Avalon Integration. I'm talking to Mike Kula. Mike, it's been a while since I've seen you. It's always good to talk with you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being part of the show today. I'm really excited to learn more about what's going on with this new Ascent system. You know, your guy, John Van Cleve, called me up like a week or so ago and was telling me about this. He's like, you think there's a story here? I'm like, yes, there's a story here. This is really cool stuff. I can't wait for the world to start knowing more about this, because I think this could be a really affordable, easy, secure solution to make sure people aren't, you know, if you've been in contact with someone with COVID, that you know it, and you can then make the appropriate plans to quarantine, stuff like that. So first off, Mike, what's your background real fast? What do you do with the company? And then give us the elevator pitch.
Sure. So I'm Vice President of Sales at Avalon. Been with the company since the beginning. We are a provider of an integrator of barcoding, RFID, Internet of Things technology, typically in manufacturing and distribution environments.
Very cool.
So, you know, our customers are people that make products and ship products, you know, all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you say IoT, I get excited because I think that's one of the most fascinating fields to be in, because I think that's where the magic happens, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that kind of got us to our COVID tracking wristband solution.
Yeah. So tell us about this. This is called the Ascent system.
Yes.
And as John was describing this to me, you're going to give us more details about it. I was pretty impressed because I love the simplicity of it. And more importantly, I love the security of it, because that's the big thing people are worried about. So give us the overview. How does this thing work? And you also have some things to show it. So.
Yeah, let me give you a little background. So, you know, in March, when all of this stay-at-home orders kind of hit, and, you know, I live in Pennsylvania, and, you know, we were shut down for a long time. You know, our clients actually came to us and said, hey, we need assistance.
Okay.
You know, because we're manufacturers, we're making it a critical item. Our plants are open. How do we protect our employees? So,
exactly.
You know, we started at first with, you know, things like signage, right, to remind people, right, because that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. And then, you know, barriers and thermal imaging cameras. And as we've evolved through this, I started thinking, said, well, you know, the real issue is if someone comes into the work environment and they either potentially are positive with COVID-19, or they have tested positive with COVID-19, what's a plant to do, right? So if you're making a critical item, and you know, we've seen cases all over the United States where, you know, in meat plants, things like that, plants are shutting down. So what could happen? So I did a little research, talked to a lot of customers to get their input. And one of the big things was they wanted their data to be, you know, they wanted to be anonymous, right? Apple, Google have talked about putting things on phones. And if you know, do any research about that, people are like, no way it's going on my phone, because I don't want, you know, everyone, Big Brother, to know where I am.
Exactly. There's an immediate reaction like that across a lot of people, for sure.
Correct. So, so we, you know, one of our partners is Ascent Systems, and Ascent Systems is out of Spain. And as you know, Spain, you know, had tremendous COVID-19 issues as hotspots in the world goes.
Yeah, they were making headlines among the first countries back in the day. It's like, it seems like forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
Exactly. So, Ascent Systems is an IoT provider, right? So what they did is they adopted some of their technology, and they actually developed a wristband like this that kind of looks like a Fitbit, and I'm actually wearing one on my wrist.
Exactly. It's nice and slim, and looks like it's, yeah, absolutely.
So, so the idea is there is a Bluetooth low energy radio in this device. And effectively what it does is it scans 1 second every 5 seconds for another Bluetooth radio that's within 6 feet of each other. And if it sees it twice, so it's 10 seconds, it actually provides a haptic alert, so it will vibrate to alert the user.
Okay, so it'll give you a buzz, right? Okay.
Give me a buzz. Hey, I need to back up. So it's kind of like, you know, if you got an iWatch or a smartwatch, you felt like when you get an email, you feel that little vibration. But more importantly, what it does is it actually logs the other wristband, and it keeps looking and repeating that cycle, and it can determine what your length of period of time is that you've been within 6 feet of distance.
6 feet.
So,
Okay, gotcha.
right. So the idea is, you know, an organization gets a wristband, they get a power supply, right? It's a regular USB. You know, what I really like about this is the simplicity. You pull the band off, that's how you charge it, and the battery lasts about 3 days.
Oh, nice.
And it'll store about 40 days worth of data.
Right on the band itself. Okay.
On the band itself. So the way that we've been deploying it is, you know, the band just has a number. There's no personal information on it whatsoever. It's, you know, CT wristband number 1, this is CT wristband number 2. And the idea is that the employer gives this to the employee, gives them a power supply to charge it at home at night, and records down, you know, Mike Kula has wristband number 1. In a perfect world, we'll never have to get this wristband back, because what you want the employee to do is wear it and do their job like they're, you know, like they normally would, and provide, you know, abide by all of your social distancing and COVID-19 protocols. And the idea is, and the concept behind it is, in the event, you know, let's take, for example, I come to work the next day, they take my temperature, and they say, hey, Mike, you got a temperature of 101. We really want you to go home. What they would do is they would take my band and download the data off of that, and then be able to see what other employees were exposed to me within 6 feet in, you know, the last week, the last 2 weeks, and then take appropriate precautions. So the idea, you know, how I look at it is, it's kind of like a flight data recorder, right? The only time you need a flight data recorder is when you think you have a problem or you had a problem, right? It's really the same concept. And, you know, what we like about it and what our clients have said they liked about it is, you know, it's anonymous data. It's IT friendly, because essentially this thing comes kitted, you hand it out and you're done. It doesn't sit on their network. None of that company's information is up in the clouds, you know, where it could potentially be hacked or something like that. And if in the event they think they have a problem or they know they have a problem, they can, you know, isolate and mitigate that problem pretty quickly in their workforce.
That is just amazing to me. And so tell me more about how, like, someone would actually deploy this. So you buy these individually, you buy them in groups and cases? Like, how does that work?
Well, you can buy them individually. So, you know, there's price discounts, obviously, but, you know, a single wristband is about $37.50.
Well, that's cheap.
Right?
I mean, that's
very cheap.
I mean, this is not like a huge investment here when it talks about the health of your workers.
Absolutely not. And then there's a component for the software if you need to upload that. That's a service fee. So it's approximately $1,500 a month for up to 1,000 users, right? So the more users you get, that fee actually reduces per user. We have a client right now that's looking at it. I think it's going to end up being like $15 a user. Actually, it's going to be less. It's going to be like $11 a user per month.
I feel like this has to be a pretty simple sale, because you're looking at those numbers and what that means to the health of your employees and keeping your operations open. I mean, it just seems like, yeah, this is a sensible thing to do, especially if you can easily explain how secure the system is, how anonymous the system is, that it's just simply to let people know that once something happened, you can be alerted, which you want to be alerted, because it's all about contact tracing now, right?
Yeah,
so it's like
absolutely.
Contact tracing, I guess.
Absolutely. You know, I had a conversation with someone that worked in an office environment for a Fortune 500 company, and they were working at home. And I said, well, you know, when you go back to the office, how's that going to work? And they're like, they're trying to figure out how we get up and down the elevator, right? Because
exactly, you an elevator, so yeah, exactly.
And you know, and I asked the question. I said, would you wear a wristband like this, based on all the parameters I told you? And I said, and the idea here is, wouldn't you want to know as an employee you potentially were exposed to protect your family? And she's like, absolutely, would wear that all the time, right? And you know, again, I think the key is data privacy, right? And the ability for a low cost, this really gives an organization the ability to not only protect their work environment, but to protect their employees and their employees' families.
And I feel like this is something that even after the pandemic, I mean, say over, because it's going to be like a long till it's over, but now it's in our sights, in our minds. that, this could happen again. And so the idea that if you are continually able to trace people, you're going to want to use this like all the time, I would think, right?
Correct.
Just so you know who's been in touch with who. So if something does happen, something new comes up, you can immediately see who was in touch with who, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting, we had a discussion with the Ascent System guys about that. Because they're also looking at, once we deploy these, what do we do with it afterwards, right? And we've had some customers say, well, we're going to try to change our thinking, because a lot of our employees that come to our plants, if they have a cold or they have a flu, they kind of shove it off and they come in and they work, right? We'll just get over it. And they're like, we want to change that mindset in our company and say, hey, if you got a cold or flu symptoms, we want you to stay home.
Right.
And you know what? And if we know you were near this person or that person, then we can say, hey, you might have been exposed to a flu type symptom.
That can save you on healthcare costs too, because if someone knows they've been exposed to the flu, you can get them Tamiflu a lot faster. And
exactly. You can do a lot, and I never even thought of that. That's really a good point. You can do a lot of preventative measures at that point. Other ideas that have come out of this is, because it's Bluetooth low energy and it has a unique number, maybe you use this as card access, right? You change your card access readers.
Yeah, that makes total sense, right?
So there's, so I think the ideas are, this is fairly new. Right. The one thing that was kind of impressive for me when we partnered with Ascent Systems is they developed this from scratch in the middle of a pandemic, and they're able to manufacture. So these items are shipping right now, which is really, really kind of cool. When a customer says, hey, I want to do a proof of concept, within 2 weeks, we're live, right? And they're doing a proof of concept. So it's really, really exciting for us, and I'm glad that we're able to provide a solution that will help our clients. It's just a good thing to do.
Well, it's helping the world at the end of the day, if you think about it, because, the more you can keep people safe, the more you can keep this thing from spreading. And that's why I get so impressed. That's why when John's like, is this a story? I'm like, yeah, this is a story. This is some cool stuff. And I just love seeing these types of solutions happen. It just goes to show you, man, you cannot keep human beings down. We figure out ways to make stuff happen.
We figure out ways to survive. Exactly.
Absolutely. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. And so really, as you said before, at the price point, you could be an organization of 50 people and this makes sense, or 1,500 people. And it makes sense, which I think is really cool.
And really the thing that we've seen initially is the larger organizations are definitely leading, right? Because, if you think about it, when they lose a manufacturing plant, and let's say, that plant is the only one that makes this product in the world, that's a really, really big issue, right? And that affects thousands and thousands of people that work at that plant.
Definitely.
Right? So they've obviously put in a lot of protocols to keep those plants up and running. This just gives them that little extra level of, if we have a problem, then we know, how to isolate that and how to mitigate that.
Oh, good stuff. I love telling these stories. I'm so glad you got to hang out with us. Anything we haven't covered that people should know about this product? I think it just seems like such a no-brainer. It's so simple. All you need are designer colors.
Yeah, we're not there yet. And one thing that some people have asked for, and we're actually testing it in a POC right now. So, the one downside of a wristband in a manufacturing environment is, let's say you're a food producer, you're not allowed to wear jewelry, right? So you have to do an exception to do that.
Yeah.
We haven't tested it yet, but we know that you'll be able to take this and put it in your pocket.
Okay.
So it's not
put it on like a necklace or something and hang it like a pen.
Or do that, yeah. Because right now this is the only form factor it comes in. It doesn't come in an ID form factor or anything like that.
Right.
But the idea is, if I had to put it in my pocket, I'm still going to get that contact tracing capability if I come within 6 feet. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, if there's any interest, certainly reach out for us. We're really excited that we're able to bring this to market and hope that it can help a lot of people.
And as fast as it came to market, which I just love, and then in Spain, and now we're here in Pittsburgh selling this thing. So I think that's pretty awesome.
It is shocking. It is really, really shocking. That really was that's what blew me away, right? And our support that we're getting from the guys in Spain it's unbelievable. They're 6 hours ahead of us. I sent them an email. When I wake up in the morning, I got a response.
They're on it, man. So, this is not to be messed with.
So it's really, really cool.
Mike Kula, you are the best. And like I said, this is why we're hanging out with Comcast telling these 50 summer stories, because these are great stories. These are things you're not going to hear everywhere. And I hope someone, listens to this, watches this, and they're like, I think our company needs this. This could be a solution. So we do have your website. We'll put that in our liner notes in this. So if everyone wants to learn about this, they can go and check you out. They'll talk to John or to you, and hopefully it's going to work out. I think it is. I love it.
Looking forward to it. Hey, thanks for having us. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
That is the plan, Mike. You do the same.
All right.